People talk about abandonment like it's a single moment. One slammed door, one suitcase, one goodbye. For me, it was quieter than that. It was the way my parents spoke in calm, careful sentences while my whole world fell apart. It was the way my dad shook my hand like I was a neighbor's kid. It was the way their car disappeared down a suburban street and the air didn't rush back into my lungs until years later. My name is Ethan. I'm 25 now, and I've been carrying this story around like a stone in my pocket. Small enough to ignore most days, heavy enough to bruise you when you walk too long. When I was 13, I thought my family was normal. Not perfect, not rich, but normal. We had a decent house with a creaky staircase and a kitchen that always smelled faintly like dish soap. We did school mornings and grocery runs and small arguments about homework. From the outside, we looked like the kind of family you'd see in a back-to-school commercial. 2 parents, 2 kids, some chaos, lots of love. If you stood close enough, though, you'd hear the imbalance. My sister Claire was the golden kid, the kind of child adults collected like a trophy. Teachers praised her in front of the class. Neighbors called her so talented the moment she picked up a pencil. My parents, Marianne and Daniel, talked about Claire like she was a miracle they personally delivered to the world. If Claire sneezed, my mom would say, "Bless you, sweetheart," like it was sacred. If I sneezed, my dad would say, "Cover your mouth," like it was a character flaw. That's the thing about being the non-golden child. You don't necessarily get abused in some dramatic headline way. You get erased in small daily edits. Your drawings go in the fridge only if there's empty space. Your achievements get translated into background noise. Claire's interests became family hobbies, my interests became phases, and the wild part? I didn't hate Claire for it. How could I? She didn't choose to be their favorite. She just lived inside it, like sunlight that fell on her without effort. I was the kid in the shade, squinting at warmth I wasn't allowed to claim. The day everything broke started like any other day. I was on my bedroom floor playing with old action figures I pretended I didn't care about anymore. The kind with chipped paint and loose arms, survivors from a childhood I hadn't been given time to finish. Then my mom called my name in that voice parents use when they're trying to sound calm, but you can feel the storm in it. "Ethan, come downstairs, please." I assumed I'd left the milk out, or forgot to take out the trash, or got caught in some small crime of being 13. But when I walked into the living room, my parents were sitting on the couch like they were waiting to deliver a verdict. Their posture was too straight, their faces were too blank. It wasn't a family talk, it felt like a meeting. My dad pointed at the chair across from them. "Sit down, Ethan." I sat, confused, trying to read the room like it was written in a language I hadn't learned. My mom took a long breath, like she was about to jump into cold water. "Ethan, we need to talk about something important." In my head, I ran through the usual horrors. Someone died, someone's sick, we're moving. Then my dad said, flat and clean, "We've had financial difficulties. We can't afford to take care of you anymore." I actually stared at him like he'd made a joke too weird to land. Can't afford to take care of me? What was I? A gym membership? A streaming service? My mom rushed in, voice soft, eyes glistening like she'd practiced. "It's not your fault, sweetheart. We've been struggling for a long time. We had to make a difficult decision. A difficult decision. Not we're failing you. Not we're scared. Not we don't know what to do." Just a neat little phrase that made it sound like they were switching insurance providers. I tried to speak, but my throat tightened. What do you mean?" My mom said they'd arranged something. Temporary. A foster home. Just for a while. She used the word temporary like it was supposed to be a blanket. My brain caught up enough to ask the obvious question. The question that should have shattered them if they had anything left to shatter. "Why doesn't Claire go?" The temperature in the room changed. My mom's face hardened for a split second before she smoothed it back into something polite. "Claire is in school," she said. "She needs stability." Stability, like I didn't. My dad leaned forward, voice turning sharp. "This isn't about choosing one of you over the other. It's about what makes the most sense right now." That was when I started crying. Not the quiet, dignified crying people put in movies. I mean ugly, panicked, full-body sobbing. Because what else does a 13-year-old do when he realizes his parents are calmly trading him away? My mom tried to hug me. I pushed her away so hard she rocked back on her heels. "Why are you doing this?" I asked. They repeated themselves like robots. Difficult decision, financial problems, temporary, best for everyone. The next day they packed a small suitcase, 2 pairs of jeans, a few shirts, my toothbrush. It looked like I was going on a short trip, not being removed from my own life. The car ride was silent in the worst possible way. Not peaceful silence, not thoughtful silence. The kind that tightens around you like plastic wrap. I kept waiting for the moment someone would turn their head and say, "This is insane. We're going home." But no one did. When we pulled up to the Thompsons' house, I sat in the back seat, clutching my duffel bag, staring at the porch light like it could blink, "Run." My dad finally turned around and said, "Come on, Ethan. Let's get this over with." I remember thinking, he sounds like he's dropping off a return package. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson stood in the doorway. They looked like ordinary adults, pleasant, nervous, trying too hard to smile. Mr. Thompson's hands were clasped behind his back like he didn't know what to do with them. Mrs. Thompson kept glancing at me like she was trying to make her face feel safe. safe. My mom knelt in front of me and kissed my forehead. "We love you, Ethan," she said. "This isn't goodbye forever. Just give it time, okay?" It didn't feel like love. It felt like a stamp, like a label, like paperwork. My dad shook my hand. A handshake. No hug, no apology, just his palm against mine and a quick squeeze like we'd concluded a business deal. Then they got back in the car, reversed out of the driveway, and drove away. I stood on that porch watching the red tail lights shrink into nothing, waiting for them to swing back around. They never did. That first night in the Thompsons' guest room, I lay awake with my duffel bag on the floor beside me like a lifeline. I stared at the ceiling and replayed the day until my thoughts turned into questions that had no place to land. What did I do wrong? Why wasn't I enough? Why Claire? Mrs. Thompson made pancakes in the morning, like a peace offering. She cut them into neat triangles and put extra syrup on the side. Mr. Thompson asked if I preferred orange juice or milk. They were kind in a careful way, like they didn't want to touch a bruise. I nodded. I ate. I didn't taste anything. I told myself my parents would call. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. The phone stayed silent. When school started again, kids asked the normal kid questions. Where are you from? Why did you move? Where are your parents? And I lied because the truth felt too embarrassing to say out loud. "Oh, my parents are working out of state for a while," I'd say, smiling like it didn't hurt. One afternoon, sitting on the Thompsons' couch, I made the mistake of looking my parents up online. I don't know what I expected. A guilt-filled post, a vague update, something that proved I still existed in their world. Instead, I found a photo of them on a beach, ocean behind them, big smiles, Claire front and center, arm linked through my mom's like she was the only child the camera recognized. The caption, "Finally living our dream life." I scrolled. More beaches, more restaurants, more hotel balconies, Claire in every frame, glowing and adored. Captions like, "Our amazing daughter," and "So proud of Claire." I wasn't mentioned anywhere, not even as a shadow. And then there was the blog, a whole travel blog about their journey to freedom. They wrote about downsizing and letting go of burdens and chasing their best selves. There was one line that made my stomach turn because it was dressed up like inspiration but smelled like cruelty. They wrote about releasing what no longer serves you. I stared at the screen, hands shaking. I knew they meant me. They didn't have to say my name. The silence around it screamed. Then I noticed a couple comments buried under the praise. "Must be nice running away and leaving everything behind. Hope it doesn't catch up to you." Another one on a photo of my mom holding a tropical drink. Guess skipping town was worth it after all. Skipping town, that phrase lodged in my head. It didn't just sound like they abandoned a kid, it sounded like they fled a mess. That night at dinner, I must have looked haunted because Mr. Thompson asked, "You okay, Ethan?" I tried to shrug it off, but Mrs. Thompson's voice was gentle and firm. "You don't have to carry it alone." Something cracked in me. I told them about the blog, the photos, the captions, the comments. Mr. Thompson's face darkened. "You have every right to be angry," he said. "And what they did, that's on them, not you." That sentence didn't fix me, but it gave me a place to stand. Over time, I started to build a life inside the Thompsons' house. Not immediately. Trust doesn't grow fast when you've been dropped like luggage. But the Thompsons were consistent. They showed up. They asked about my day. They meant it. I joined the debate team because I was already full of arguments and nowhere safe to put them. Turns out I was good at it. Something about structure, rules, time limits, evidence made chaos feel manageable. I got a part-time job at a bookstore. I liked the quiet. I liked that books didn't pretend to love you and then disappear. My best friend Lucas, the kind of kid who handled heavy things with humor, found out about my parents and just said, "That's messed up, man. Want to play video games?" It was the closest thing to therapy my teenage brain could tolerate. Then came the night I heard the hushed voices. I'd come home late from work and the house felt tense, not loud, not angry, just oddly careful. I heard Mrs. Thompson whisper in the dining room. "Should we tell him?" she asked. Mr. Thompson's voice was low. "He has a right to know. He's doing so well right now," she argued. "This letter doesn't explain much." A letter. My heart started pounding like I'd been caught stealing air. Later, after everyone went to bed, I crept into the dining room like a ghost. I knew it was wrong. I knew it. But fear doesn't care about manners. On the table was a stack of mail. Toward the bottom, an envelope with my name. Legal office return address. I opened it and read enough to make my hands go numb. It was a notice about unresolved debts tied to Daniel and Marianne. It mentioned guardianship, documentation, financial obligations, debts. So that was it. They hadn't struggled. They had run. And I was the expense they cut first. I put the letter back exactly where it was and went to bed feeling like my childhood had been a lie stacked on top of another lie. By 17, I'd built momentum. Grades up, debate trophies, work hours. Mr. Thompson teaching me budgeting like it was a survival skill. For the first time, I let myself imagine a future that didn't include my parents' voices in my head. Then the scholarship letter came. Full ride. I stared at it until the words blurred, then ran downstairs like my feet weren't touching the floor. Mrs. Thompson hugged me so hard I couldn't breathe. Mr. Thompson kept saying, "I knew it. I knew you could." That night, I posted the news online. Something simple, grateful. The comments poured in, and then theirs appeared. "We're so proud of you, Ethan. Let's reconnect back soon. My stomach dropped so fast it felt like falling. They'd been watching, not calling, not checking, not sending a birthday card, just watching, waiting for me to become useful. I deleted the comment and blocked them both. It felt like slamming a door I should have closed years ago. Graduation day arrived like a sunrise I'd earned. Mrs. Thompson ironed my gown and left a note on my door. "So proud of you." Lucas made jokes the whole morning so I wouldn't spiral. Claire showed up too, which shocked me. She stood off to the side, quieter than I remembered, eyes scanning the crowd like she didn't quite belong in it. For a few hours, I let myself believe the story had a clean ending. Then I saw them at the edge of the crowd, Daniel and Marianne, dressed like they'd stepped off a cruise ship, sun-kissed, smiling, scanning faces like they were shopping for a moment. My chest tightened. They walked toward me with those bright, fake expressions people wear when they want something. "Ethan," my mom said, voice too cheerful. "You look so grown up." My dad clapped my shoulder. "We're proud of you, son. Big day for all of us." "All of us," I laughed. One short, stunned sound. "What are you doing here?" I asked. They launched into rehearsed apologies without actually apologizing. Mistakes, hard times, always wanted the best, missed me, wanted to reconnect. I stared at them and felt something shift in me, like the 13-year-old inside finally stepped back and let the 25-year-old take the wheel. "You don't get to call yourselves my family," I said. My voice didn't shake, which surprised me. "You left me with strangers. You didn't check if I was alive. You were living your dream life while I was learning how to survive." My mom's smile faltered. My dad's face reddened. "That's not fair," he said, like fairness was something he'd ever offered me. And then Claire walked forward. Her voice was calm, but it cut through everything. "You don't get to ruin this for him," she said. "You've done enough." It was the first time I'd ever seen her stand up to them. For a second, I didn't know what to do with that. Pride, grief, relief, all tangled. My parents retreated, muttering about scenes and disrespect, and disappeared back into the crowd like they'd never existed. The Thompsons pulled me into a hug. Lucas handed me a tissue and whispered, "If they come back, tell them there's a cover charge." I actually laughed. A real laugh. 10 days later, the email arrived from my mom. Long, dramatic, full of half-truths dressed as feelings. And then, like a knife hidden inside a bouquet, "Maybe you could help us out during this tough time." There it was, the reason they'd shown up. Claire, now older and sharper, had been watching them out of morbid curiosity. She told me their travel blog was collapsing, debt piling, credit ruined. They'd sold most of their stuff, chasing the illusion of freedom, and now were couch surfing with relatives who were running out of patience. "They still blame you," Claire said one night. "They think if you forgive them, everything will magically fix itself." "Forgive them for what?" I snapped. "Making me homeless at 13. Not long after that, they tried LinkedIn. They tried messaging my coworkers. They tried contacting the Thompsons. They tried recruiting distant relatives to guilt trip me, like assembling a flying monkey committee. My Aunt Diane called one day and didn't even say hello before launching into it. "Ethan, what is wrong with you?" she snapped. "They're struggling. They're family." I hung up. Then came the funniest attempt, if funny can mean so disgusting you feel cold. An email from a lawyer with a subject line about financial support, implying I owed my parents now that I was successful. I forwarded it to a lawyer the Thompsons connected me with. She read it and sighed. Empty threat. They're trying to scare you into paying. I didn't respond. Instead, I poured my energy into my work. The financial literacy tutoring I'd started turned into workshops, then a small program, then something bigger, helping other kids learn the basics no one teaches you when your life gets uprooted: budgeting, saving, building stability. And then a producer reached out, a small documentary series about resilience. My story. I hesitated. I didn't want my life to become content, but the Thompsons told me something that stuck. If it helps one kid feel less alone, it's worth it. So I did it. During filming, the producer pulled me aside and told me they'd uncovered more about my parents: evictions, defaulted loans, possible fraud, a pattern of running when bills came due. So the comments were right. They hadn't just left me, they'd left a trail. The documentary aired. Strangers messaged me saying they'd lived some version of my story, that they'd been temporarily discarded too. My parents tried to play victim online, posting dramatic rants, but it backfired. The more they talked, the more people saw the holes. And me, I bought my first home, a small, cozy place in a quiet neighborhood. Nothing fancy, but it felt like proof. I existed. I belonged somewhere. I wasn't disposable. I invited the Thompsons and Claire over for a housewarming dinner. We ate too much. We laughed too hard. Lucas showed up and tried to inspect my cabinets like he was a home security expert. Claire sat at my kitchen table and looked calmer than I'd ever seen her. Later that night, after everyone left, I stood in the doorway and listened to the quiet of my own house. No tension in the walls, no invisible rankings, no fear of being traded away. I checked my phone and saw a new message request from an unknown number. Probably them. Again, I didn't open it. I blocked it. And for the first time, blocking them didn't feel like anger. It felt like peace, because family isn't blood. Family is who shows up when you're 13 and shaking on a stranger's porch. Family is who makes pancakes anyway. Family is who teaches you how to build a life instead of asking you to fund their fantasy. My parents chose the dream life. They chose my sister. They chose running. I chose staying. And I'm done paying for their choices.